Good morning, everybody. I am your grateful neighborhood addict named Connor, and this is today's daily reflection. May 19th, Giving Without Strings. And he well knows that his own life has been made richer as an extra dividend of giving to another without any demand for a return. As Bill sees it, page 69. The concept of giving without strings was hard to understand when I first came into the program. I was suspicious when others wanted to help me. I thought, what do they want in return? But I soon learned the joy of helping another alcoholic, and I understood why they were there for me in the beginning. My attitudes changed, and I wanted to help others. Sometimes I became anxious as I wanted them to know the joys of sobriety, that life can be beautiful. When my life is full of a loving God of my understanding, and I give that love to my fellow alcoholic, I feel a special richness that is hard to explain. Hey guys, what a beautiful reading today. I actually have a lot to say on the subject of giving. I didn't realize how much. I've got like 2 pages of written notes here, so I hope that this is helpful to somebody out there. I always give without strings because you have to be very careful. It's very easy to resent someone you give to, whether you're giving your time, your money, or your love. I have to consciously remind myself sometimes that it's my choice to give, right? And that I'm not giving for a reaction. I'm giving because it satisfies something within me to know that I've done my part and contributed to something larger than a moment in time or a dollar amount. That I've invested in the growth of a relationship, potential or otherwise, and that the door is open for more and it is known. And that is simply kindness. And sometimes giving for me is simply a math equation. This person needs X and I can give it to them. And it's as simple as that. Reciprocation is welcome, but not required. I give because of who I am, not because of what I get out of it. Giving with expectations isn't giving at all. It's actually manipulation. And if you don't believe me, here's one definition of manipulation: a psychological and social tactic used to unfairly influence someone for personal gain. So, really, it's a butter them up, then guilt trip them kind of tactic, if we're being honest. And I'm not saying this is something that's always done on purpose or even consciously either. In fact, I think that level of forethought is actually quite rare to see. But it's a way to control a situation and influence someone to get what you want, and that is a way to bypass someone's agency as if we're entitled to what they have, which I believe is where resentment can ultimately be born. More often than not, I think giving with expectations really comes down to a transaction. And people often attempt to purchase love, loyalty, validation, or security through generosity, and then feel betrayed when the contract isn't honored, right? The invisible contract. And so no one is entitled to anything anyone else has, whether that's their gratitude, their reciprocation, or even their acknowledgement. Giving for me is about sharing. Sharing happiness, comfort, peace, and security. Because I think everyone needs those things. I know I do. And when I see someone suffering, anyone, whether I know them or not, my empathy kicks in and I ask myself, how would I feel if I were in their shoes? And sometimes my answer is incongruent to theirs, and that's fine. But then I ask myself, what would it cost me to give this thing away? And if the answer is nothing or negligible or even a reasonable compromise, I feel a responsibility to give. And I think that's because giving is also a humble form of gratitude. Gratitude for what you already have, which allows you to make a sacrifice for someone else. It says, I could be selfish in this situation by not giving, but I choose to give anyway. And that's not just selflessness, because you can't fill from an empty cup. That says, what I have is not only enough for me, it's enough to share. So 3 of the reasons I give without strings are kindness, empathy, and gratitude. And toxic giving, I think, can be defined as anything with strings, which comes from expectation, entitlement, selfishness, and dishonesty. Thank you so much for listening today and for allowing me to be a part of your journey. I am your grateful neighborhood addict named Connor, and I'm wishing you another day gratefully sober. Until tomorrow.